Just a few weeks after Amazon executives openly embarrassed themselves on Twitter by alleging that their business practices happen to be more progressive than anything that Senator Bernie Sanders has accomplished, the online retail giant is now apologizing for making their employees pee in bottles and defecate in bags. Actually, no, that's not what they're apologizing for. They're apologizing for their tweet response to Pocan denying that their employees urinate in bottles. Their employees do, in fact, urinate in bottles, and that was all revealed through Ken Klippenstein's incredible reporting and by Amazon workers telling us the truth about what it's like to work as drivers, delivery drivers specifically, and workers in their warehouses. Now, Mark Pocan had previously tweeted in response to Dave Clark, an Amazon executive, paying workers $15 an hour doesn't make you a progressive workplace when you union bust and make workers urinate in water bottles. In response to that, the official Amazon news account said, "You don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing, do you?" And that was followed, of course, by Ken Klippenstein publishing a piece in The Intercept titled, "Documents show Amazon is aware drivers pee in bottles and even defecate en route despite company denial." And so it was just not a good look PR-wise. They didn't know what to do. And so they finally apologized to Mark Pocan, not to the workers. The tweet was incorrect, they write. It did not contemplate our large driver population and instead wrongly focused only on our fulfillment centers, which, by the way, fulfillment center workers say that they experience similar issues because of the fact that they don't get enough time to go to the bathroom. In fact, their bathroom breaks are timed. And they also write, we know that drivers can and do have trouble finding restrooms because of traffic or sometimes rural routes. And this has been especially the case during COVID when many public restrooms have been closed, which is a lie. The drivers told Ken Klippenstein that they feel that they can't take a break and look for a restroom because of the large amount of packages they're expected to deliver on a daily basis. So before we get to Pocan's response to all of this, Francesca, what say you?
Yeah, no, Ken was on the Bitchuation Room the other night and spoke about how, in doing these stories, you usually get workers who are, actually kind of satisfied or like, I'll give them like a B or whatever in terms of a grade. The people who reached out to him anonymously were overwhelmingly upset about these conditions and also didn't know that we, the public, didn't know that yes, they urinate in bottles and like defecate in bags in the same truck that our goods are arriving in, which is wrong on so many levels. But it's commonplace among truckers too, right? Which doesn't make it right. But the point of the statement that really got to me, Amazon's apology, which was very much a like the disingenuous, like when you're like, I'm sorry that you felt that I was being mean, but like, yes. I'm sorry that in your little brain, like so disingenuous. They say something like, regardless of the fact that it's industry wide, because I think they reference that other delivery drivers also do the same thing. We don't yet know how to fix it, but we will look for solutions.
Well, I have a solution. Ooh, how about you hire
Anna.
more workers? Like they're so like I know they're insulting our intelligence, and I can't believe I'm answering their question. But we all know what they can do, right? They don't want to have enough employees, so each individual employee isn't overwhelmed with an insane quota every day, right? That way you give your workers enough time to take a break and not feel guilty about it, not feel monitored for doing so. I mean, we just recently shared a story about how Amazon's, trying to put all sorts of crazy tracking technology within the vehicles to keep track of how many times they yawn. I mean, that's how insane they are with monitoring their workers and making them feel awful for needing to do normal, natural things like use the restroom and take a break.
Yeah.
And Mark Pocan is right. It's not about apologizing to Mark Pocan, you morons. He says, Sai, this is not about me. This is about your workers who you don't treat with enough respect or dignity. Start by acknowledging the inadequate working conditions you've created for all your workers. Then fix that for everyone. And finally, let them unionize without interference. by the way, the National Labor Relations Board recently indicated that Amazon had illegally fired its employees, specifically activist employees who were demanding better working conditions and also demanding that Amazon do something to cut down on the pollution that it puts out through its business practices. So the NLRB told Emily Cunningham and Maureen Costa that it would accuse Amazon of unfair labor practices if the company did not settle the case. Both Costa and Cunningham, who worked as designers at Amazon's Seattle headquarters, began criticizing the company publicly in 2018. They were part of a small group of employees who wanted the company to do more to address its climate impact. The group, Amazon Employees for Climate Justice, got more than 8,700 colleagues to support its efforts. But you know who didn't support its efforts? Amazon executives who promptly fired them. And now they're facing the consequences for that.
This is insane. I mean, and it's like good on those employees, right? I mean, 8,700 other employees backed them, right? That's power in numbers. And I think that we're seeing now in Bessemer, Alabama, that there's a real chance that this union fight might actually work, right? And if it doesn't, it is already set in motion all of this scrutiny that the largest company, maybe next to Walmart in the world, is skating by on bullying and exploitation and has zero interest in even doing the PR job of making it look like they care about their workers or look like they care about the environment, let alone actually doing so, right? Because of course it would be way too expensive and we couldn't guarantee that. No, it's because you're greedy and Jeff Bezos is a trillionaire and you don't want to see your profits decline, even though you've had record numbers under the pandemic. So it's like, I think that story of those, not whistleblowers, employees that wanted to start a company organization. Hey, that's totally normal. That story is so great that we're talking about because of the workers in Bessemer, they've put Amazon under the spotlight. And I'm so glad because we rarely all get together to go after the same corporation because there's just so many of them. But I'm really happy that we are focusing our attention on Amazon, which deserves it, tenfold.
Definitely, yeah. Look, I don't plug a lot of things, and this is not a paid plug, but you guys should check out the fairly recent episode about the Bessemer unionization effort from the Daily. So that's the New York Times podcast. It's hit or miss. Sometimes they have incredibly good episodes. That Bessemer one is one of them because they talk to one of the lead organizers of that effort throughout the episode. And hearing her perspective, I think, is incredibly important. So check that out if you've got some time.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.